3 things that I want you to know that are going to change the way you communicate. Are you listening? Are you ready? Number 1, never win an argument. Whenever your goal is to win an argument, you lose so much more every time. And it gets me frustrated, to tell you the truth, of how much I see out in the world, videos to blogs to books and magazines and articles on how to win every argument. Let me tell you right now, it is a lie. It's snake oil. It's clickbait. It's not true. It has nothing to do with real world. That's why it does not work. When you've ever seen, why am I not winning this argument? Because the idea of winning it does not work. It never has. It never will. People like to say, well, Jefferson, aren't you an attorney? Isn't this kind of your day job? This is what you do for a living. You win arguments. Absolutely not. No, that's not how it works. As a trial attorney, any trial attorney who is in the courtroom, you do not choose your client's facts. When a client walks into my door and they have, hey, I've been in an accident and here are my facts, I can't create new facts that will help my case, and I can get rid of facts or delete facts that hurt my case. I am stuck with the cards that are dealt. Same thing applies with the law. I can't choose, I'm here in Texas, I can't choose what laws I'm going to follow or not going to follow. They apply to everyone here in this state. Same at the federal level or any state in the U.S. I can't choose any of that. And so when it comes to arguing as an attorney, it's more about giving the facts and evidence a voice. How can I persuade you based upon my facts and what I have in the law? And then it's ultimately up to the finder of fact, is how they call it. You have the judge or you have the jury, and it's going to be, those are the people who decide what's persuasive and what's not, and are they following the law? At the end of the day, they have to follow the law. It has nothing to do about who's winning an argument. The other attorney might have better facts. The other attorney might have better law. It has nothing to do with me winning it. So it's not even the same thing in the courtroom or as an attorney. You cannot win every argument. When you set out to say, I want to win this argument, you will lose the relationship with this person. It may not be the first time, may not be the second time, but over time and time and time again, the value and quality of that relationship is going to continue to go down. Here's what I mean. When you and I are fighting and we're trying to win an argument, what I've really won is your contempt. You're now mad at me, most likely. I've won your ability to have awkward silence now every time we pass each other in the hall. I still have to probably work with this person, probably have to live with this person. What have you won? You've really probably won the first chance. You're now the first person up to have to apologize. Often we win arguments because we said something that was over the top, went too far below the belt, anything that made the argument stop. Just because you're the last one who speaks does not mean that you're the one who won the argument. It is just not true. So every time you try to see yourself as winning an argument, you're going to lose the relationship. You're going to lose their respect. You're going to lose their trust, their confidence. And over time, you're going to lose the ability to connect with that person when you always set out to win an argument. So instead of winning an argument, this is what I want you to do. See the argument as something to unravel. See the argument as something to unravel, as in a knot. You have one side, I have the other. And when I'm pulling and we're pulling, it just makes the knot tighter and tighter. It doesn't go anywhere. Instead of seeing who's going to win this tug of war, you have to stop, put it down, and find a way to locate the knot. And when you do, that's where you have the heart of the matter, where you can start to unravel and say, I'm trying to understand where you're coming from. They're trying to understand where you're coming from. Then you can talk, then you can connect with the person. It is not winning an argument that is going to change the way you communicate. It is seeing the way that you can unravel the knot. I really hope that resonates with you. It's one of the main pillars that I use every day in my communication and how I see things between two people and how we connect with each other. Don't look to win the argument. You want to look to unravel the knot. You just have to be patient enough. Truth number 2, have something to learn, not something to prove. Now, this goes beautifully with the first point of never win an argument. Number 2 says, have something to learn, not something to prove. Struggle happens, difficulty happens, bad things happen in communication when I'm trying to prove something against you. But here's the fact of it. The harder I work to push against you, the harder I push to prove my point, the more hardened you'll become that I'm wrong. Because what you don't know is that behind everybody, as we're going to talk here in the third step, is there is a surface and a depth behind everybody. So if I were to say, you're wrong, hey, you listening right now? You're wrong. Whatever opinion you have, I'm going to say that it's wrong. But what I don't know is when I tell you that you're wrong, I could also be saying that your family member is wrong. Your grandparent is wrong. What you've known your whole life is wrong. We all come into circumstances with different life experiences. So if you've been raised, maybe let's say in a particular religion your entire life, or you've heard only a certain political party your entire life. These are big concepts I'm talking about here. Or maybe you grew up in an area that is culturally a certain way, and somebody says that that's wrong. What you're doing is just changing their whole paradigm, is saying everything about you is wrong. And we will get so defensive, even to the point of refusing to listen, to be able to preserve that identity that the other person has. They will fight tooth and nail. It doesn't matter. That's why logic does not work in these circumstances. Logic doesn't work because it is a part of their identity. It is their value in their life of this is who I am. If you're saying that I'm wrong, well, that means my dad's wrong, my mom's wrong, my grandparents are wrong. And it ties to a whole lot more. When somebody likes, let's say, a political candidate, it doesn't matter what party, and you say that they're wrong, well, you get a lot of people that are fans of certain people get very defensive because they've tied their identity to that person. You have to understand that you come into it with something to learn, not something to prove in that conversation. I get really worked up about these truths because they hit so much at home for me. Like the points that I give, they're little quick, rapid things. I'm always going to be giving you those. I want to start season 2 a little bit different. That does not mean I'm going to continue to do the bigger concepts. I always give practical takeaways, and I'm going to give that to you here. Is I want you to get used to this mindset of when you see struggle, when there's friction in the communication, ask yourself, am I trying to prove something or am I trying to learn something? Here's a depiction of this, an illustration I want you to have in your mind. If I'm arguing with you, I cannot pour, let's say I have a glass of water. I cannot pour water into your full pitcher. I can't pour new thoughts into a pitcher that's already full. I have to let you get it all out. I have to ask you questions and get curious of, well, how long have you how'd you come to that conclusion? How long have you thought like this? How things that you're getting information out of the other person, rather than just trying to splash the water in their face and saying, take this and everything I say is right. Instead, you need to ask questions that get it all out, and only then is there space for you to fill it with your new thoughts. Have something to learn, not something to prove. Truth number 3. This is one of my favorites. The person you see is not the person you're talking to. The person you see is not the person you're talking to. Like we said in step 2, everybody has a surface and a depth. Like the person who's serving you coffee at the cafe, maybe they served it a little late. Maybe they had a little bit of attitude. That's the person you see. But the person you're talking to maybe should have been off 2 hours ago, or just got a terribly rude comment from a customer an hour before and now it's weighing on them. Or maybe their kids are staying with their mom and they're in a bad mood because they don't like where they are in life. There's always a surface and a depth. People that you're driving behind. Like this is for me right here. I'm talking to myself. When you're driving in the left lane and somebody's in the left lane here in the United States, you have the right lane, left lane. Our default is typically in the right lane through single lane passing traffic, but it's 2 lanes. Left lane is for passing. The right lane is for those that go slow. So anytime somebody's going slow in the left lane, it irritates me to no end, but I'm working on that. See, I can work on things too. Well, anytime you're going slow behind a car that's probably going the speed limit, let's be honest, you just automatically assume they are in your way. Get out of my way. How dare you be in my way? You don't know what in the world's going on with their life. You don't know what kind of news this person is dealing with. Same way when somebody's coming up behind you, like what we call on your rear, when they are right up behind you, you think, what do you want? What do you want from me? And you get aggravated that they're trying to speed you up. So it just goes all into this thing of we like to think about ourselves. It's our default. It's natural. I want you to see that the person you see is not the person you're talking to. So you have to get really curious about understanding that everybody has something going on that you don't know about. People you're related to, they have struggles they don't share with you. Your kids, there are things that are happening in their life that they may not share with you. Same thing with your work. You have a supervisor, an employee. There are things going in their life that you don't know. They're having conversations in their head that you aren't part of. If for those that have been in relationships or in one right now, you've all experienced this a concept where somebody comes into the house, the room, the apartment, whatever, and you can just tell they're in a bad mood. And it's not until 20 minutes into the conversation, you're like, is something wrong with you? Well, it turns out what happened to them happened 6 hours before, and they've been living with that long before they came in contact with you. So things happen that you have no idea about. So when you go into this thing of exactly who I see with this person is exactly who they are, and you go into stereotypes and you say, oh, I'm going to call a spade. That's fine. Do what you need to do. Understand that's not the real person. I've seen some of the toughest people, meanest looking people, be the biggest teddy bears and sweethearts. I've also seen the smallest, maybe let's say oldest, weakest people be the sturdiest, strongest humans I've ever come across. You cannot judge a book by its cover. Now, I also want to make sure and take a second to tell you about a sponsor of this podcast, and they're called Cozy Earth. And the reason why I said yes to Cozy Earth is because I already use their stuff. Their sheets are on my bed right now. I wear their sweatshirts and their sweatpants. My wife loves their pajamas. I can't imagine using anything else. So if you are like me and you like to wear cozy things when you're home, you can go to cozyearth.com/Jefferson and use the code Jefferson for 40% off. That's cozyearth.com/Jefferson and use the code Jefferson for 40% off. 3 truths that I want you to understand when it comes to communication. You use these mindsets by thinking about them, taking them to heart. I want you to just take for a moment and see what has resonated with you in this conversation that we're having here. Yeah, it's a conversation. I know I'm talking to you and you're not talking back, but you are in many ways. When you leave comments, when you comment on any videos, I get to hear from you. For those that are part of my newsletter, you're able to ask me questions and I'm able to field those. Throughout this rest of the season, I will be answering my newsletter emails. I have lots of them that I have starred and I want to make sure that I get to. You can also join my newsletter there in the show notes. I have a little link for it there. I want you to understand that when you go into communication, applying these will change the way you think. And when you use them, it will improve your life. When you, number one, stop seeing arguments as something to win, but something to unravel. Number 2, have something to learn, not something to prove. And number 3, the person you see is not the person you're talking to. 3 things that are going to change the way you communicate. That's real. Those are things that are on my heart, and those are things that are outlined in chapter 1 of my book, things that really, really mean a lot significantly to me, and I hope they've shown some light, shared some light, and shed some light onto you.
What would you say are the biggest mistakes that people make when communicating with others? Biggest mistakes that people make in interpersonal communication?
They're communicating to win, not communicating to understand. Too often they feel like if they have a point that they want to make, then you have to understand that point. You have to take and adopt that point, not tomorrow, now. And there's this urge of control of, I need you to lose to me. I need to win the argument. When really conversations, especially the difficult conversations and arguments, there's something to unravel, to find the knot in the heart of the matter, rather than finding that everything about it is conflicting. Because as soon as you win an argument, you lose a lot more. I mean, you lose your credibility, you lose that connection, that relationship. If you and I are in a bad argument and I throw that cutting word at you so I can win just for that moment, what'd I do? You won, congratulations. I've now won awkward silence. I've now won contempt. We still have to probably communicate with that person in some way. You have to work with them, live with them. And that feeling of, I finally gave that good zinger, it lasts 10 seconds. The next day you're going, why did I say that? That was and now you regret. Now you have to apologize. And so that win you thought you wanted isn't what you needed after all.
You're so right. One of my favorite videos of yours, you share with people how to best apologize, which sounds like it would be so self-explanatory, something just like hardwired into, our psyche, but there's actually like a method to it. So how do we best apologize?
Well, it's more difficult than you think to do it in the moment. That's the hard part. And I break it down really into 3 bite-sized steps that anybody can implement. And one is, it's the apology. This is the easier part of, I'm sorry, I apologize. It's as simple as that. 2, it is telling them how they feel is reasonable and justified. For example, let's say the first part is, hey, I'm sorry that I said that. Second part is, I understand how that could be upsetting, or you're right to be upset by that. You're acknowledging how they're feeling, because that's really the key, is you have to kind of agree and acknowledge of, hey, how you feel is absolutely okay. It's not can you just get over this? It's the acknowledgement part. And the last, third, is showing some kind of future step. In other words, you're showing that, hey, we're going to switch this in the future. And it might be that I understand now that this is important to you, or I'm going to make sure I don't bring up this topic again, or in the future, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. That's the only way you learn, because there's always those people, Max, that when you apologize and they apologize to you, they're going to do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's they don't really mean it. But when you have some kind of future plan of action, it's showing that there's kind of a completion of the circle.
Yeah, and also I love how you break it down where, it's important to apologize by saying, I'm sorry as opposed to I'm sorry you, or I'm sorry that. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, or I'm sorry if. So a lot of the times they have people that, I'm sorry if that upset you. To that you respond, it's not if, it's that. It's a lot of the times they want to make it conditional. I'm sorry if I hurt you, as if they don't know that it did. Or I'm sorry that that's a terrible way to apologize. Is if you always say, I'm sorry that you were offended, you don't apologize for their feelings, apologize for what you did, apologize for what you said. So it's always, I'm sorry that that's taking that extra step of accountability.
A lot of people don't like losing in life. They don't like losing games. They don't like losing
Anything,
right? And they don't like losing an argument. But you say in chapter 1 to never win an argument. Why is that?
When you win an argument, you lose a lot more. Meaning, if I say that thing that I know is going to smash, it feels
Man,
great.
your ego feels freaking like a zing.
You feel like you just
Got you.
attaboy.
Oh, you're just home run.
You're
Oh,
high-fiving everybody down the hall. When you finally hit that zinger, this is so sweet. Like, and you text it and you want to show the friend, like, oh, you see that? Man, that's so good. Yeah. And then that lasts for a glimmer.
Yeah.
And then you wake up the next day and you look at it and you go, what an idiot. What I think was going to happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Just they're going to love me more.
Yeah, exactly. This is all going to be wonderful. So whenever you try to win in an argument, what you really win is their contempt. You win another awkward conversation. Congrats. You've won now awkward silence when you pass each other in the kitchen. Congratulations. That's the prize. So when you try to win a conversation, you lose the connection, you lose credibility, and you lose their trust. And so that's not the point of an argument. It's something to unravel.
What's the best way to create a win-win from an argument?
Often when I can immediately come out of the gate and say, if you can either ask, is this an argument? They'll almost never say no. They'll almost always say no. They'll say, no, this is just a conversation.
But if they're yelling or raising their voice, they're getting frustrated.
They'll flip it. almost always a flip it. If you say, is this an argument? They don't want to have, nobody wants to admit they're having or stirring or stemming an argument. They'll say, no, I'm trying to have a conversation with you. And then that's when you bring it down. All right, can we have a conversation with you? And now you're like slowly bringing them down in that moment. So when you want to win-win, it is, one, you need to slow down the time. When you can add distance between what they said and how you respond. Like some conversations, we're dealing with conversations that cost $100. That's a big conversation, but yet we're giving it a penny of our time. That's just not, you have an imbalance there. Or when I'm trying to have a conversation with you on my time frame, not yours. Hey, you got 5 minutes? I have this huge thing that's been on my mind for the last 12 hours, and you haven't thought about it for a second. I want to talk about it right now. Ready, go. Like, you're not even at the same playing field when that happens. So the win-win is when you can balance out. Don't try to have, you're at 80% and I'm at 20% feeling in my energy, and yet I'm still expecting you to show up and carry the load. That's not fair.
And how can someone communicate with someone else to get exactly what they want without being manipulative?
Getting exactly what they want. One thing that you said in the first episode that I loved, which I love that this is my second time here. So much has happened since.
That's crazy, man.
What's the chance?
Oh, yeah, that's so good.
It is so good.
It's so good.
And
Paul Evans taught me that like 15 years ago.
It's such a good one. And it's one I've definitely added to my list of just like, man, that's so, it's just asking if there could ever be the possibility of this to happen. I'm not trying to manipulate you. I'm not trying to do anything. And the thing is, people will find a way to do it. Another one that I love, again, this is Chris Voss. Once you find like collection of people, they're like, I love what they're doing, is I need a miracle.
I need a miracle right now.
I need a miracle.
That's good.
And I did that. I used this. I was at Target and we were shopping, and I wanted ice cream so bad. So we got little bitty pints of ice cream, but there's no spoon. They didn't sell spoons. And so, but we passed the Starbucks at Target. And she was like, no, you need to buy some. It's my wife saying, you need to buy something before you need to
can't just steal that spoon.
You can't, the spoons are back there. And so I went up and I was like, I need a miracle. She goes, well, I don't know what I can do for you. I said, but I'll try. I said, I got ice cream, no spoon. And she said, I got it right here. Answered in prayer. Gave me 2 spoons. And that was just playful, but
yeah, that's cool, man.
I need a miracle.
That's great.
People love to give more than you expect.
They want to be the hero.
Yeah.
And that's when when I said that, I feel like these 3 words are the most powerful words to get anything you want besides I love you. And that's what's the chance? Like we talked about, what's the chance? And the more you can come from a mindset of what's the chance you can help me out with this? What's the chance I can get an upgrade on this hotel? What's the chance you can get me to first class? What's the chance I can get a discount on this right now? What's the chance you can give me half off? You may not get exactly what you want, but you're creating a playful, open connection with someone. Like you said, what's the chance? Or I need a miracle. Can you help give me a spoon right now so I can eat this ice cream with my kid? You're creating an open heart and a playful way of being to allow for goodness to come to your life. It's not being manipulative, but it's creating an opening for miracles to occur. Even those little mini miracles that just make life enjoyable.
Yeah, just a little bitty thing.
And if you can say, what's the chance? Or I need a miracle. Can you help me out?
Yeah.
Man, you're setting yourself up for success.
Every time. And you're allowing the other person to rise up to,
be a hero.
Well, to fulfill that. I mean, they'll make them feel, it's a mutual sense of giving. It's the givers like you talked about. And the reason why what's the chance works too is that it is easy to say without feeling like you're being oppressive.
Yeah.
Easy to say because it's like,
it's not demanding something.
And it's not super direct. It's just a little bit left of center that allows it to feel okay.
You know what Chris Voss told me after this?
What's that?
I said, say what's the chance? And I go, what else should I say? And Chris Voss said a really interesting one that's like, it could be a little manipulative. Like it could be like, you're like teetering with manipulation. but it is extremely effective as a next step, is saying, what's the chance you can get me 10% off this right now? If you're at a store, Target, Starbucks, whatever.
Yeah.
Can you give me 10% off? What's the chance? If they say no, this is what Chris Voss told me. He said, you can reply with a follow-up. So you're telling me you're powerless? So it's a little, I don't know if it's manipulative or what, but it's like, so you're telling me you're powerless right now and helping me?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, because he said, no,
Yeah.
no one wants to say, I am powerless.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when you have the voice of Chris Voss,
So you're telling me you're powerless?
yeah, I'd probably go bury my head in the sand
Right?
if you told me that.
But it's almost like another level of, okay, we created playfulness. Now this is like, you're putting pressure on the playfulness.
Right.
From what's the chance, or I need a miracle, to if you really need something, you're putting that pressure on.
Yeah.
You're saying, so you're telling me you're powerless right now? Then the person behind the counter is like,